This episode of the Story Cottage is brought to you by our friends at Domestic Dominion, the Kings Ridge Elderberries, and our supporters on Buzzsprout. Go to thestorycottage.buzzsprout.com or click the Support the Show link in the show notes and subscribe for just $5 a month to get every episode ad-free. And now, on with the show. Fairy tales, folklore, myths, and legends. Why do children need them? Why do nations and peoples create them? Who knows? Maybe some of them are real. Maybe some are merely imaginative. Is there a hidden wisdom worth finding in these tall tales? Proverbs 1:5-6 says, "Let the wise hear and increase in learning, and the one who understands obtain guidance, to understand a proverb and a saying, the words of the wise and their riddles." We're your hosts, Jerry and Amy Davidson. Welcome to the Story Cottage. Please step inside.
There once was a miller who, at his death, had nothing to leave for his 3 sons except his mill, his donkey, and his cat. The eldest son took the mill, the second took the donkey, and as for the youngest, all that remained for him was the cat. The youngest son grumbled at this.
"My brothers," he said, "will be able to earn an honest living, but when I have eaten my cat and sold his skin, I shall die of hunger."
The cat, who was sitting beside him, overheard this.
"Nay, master," he said, "don't take such a gloomy view of things. If you will get me a pair of boots, made so that I can walk through the brambles without hurting my feet, and give me a bag, you shall soon see what I am worth."
The cat's master was so surprised to hear his cat talking that he at once got him what he wanted. The cat drew on the boots and slung the bag around his neck and set off for a rabbit warren. When he got there, he filled his bag with bran and lettuces, and stretching himself out beside it as if dead, waited until some young rabbit should be tempted into the bag. This happened very soon. A fat, thoughtless rabbit went in headlong, and the cat at once jumped up, pulled the strings, and killed him. Puss was very proud of his success, and, going to the king's palace, he asked to speak with the king. When he was shown into the king's presence, he bowed respectfully, and, laying the rabbit down before the throne, he said,
"Sire, here is a rabbit which my master, the Marquis of Carabas, desires me to present to your majesty."
"Tell your master,"
said the king,
"that I accept his present and am very much obliged to him."
A few days later, the cat went and hid himself in a cornfield and laid his bag open as before. This time, 2 splendid partridges were lured into the trap, and these also he took to the palace and presented to the king from the Marquis of Carabas. The king was very pleased with this gift and ordered the messenger of the Marquis of Carabas to be handsomely rewarded. For 2 or 3 months, the cat went on in this way, carrying game every day to the palace and saying it was sent by the Marquis of Carabas. At last, the cat happened to hear that the king was going to take a drive on the banks of the river with his daughter, the most beautiful princess in the world. He at once went to his master.
"Master," he said, "if you follow my advice, your fortune will be made. Go and bathe in the river at a place I shall show you, and I will do the rest." "Very well," said the miller's son, and he did as the cat told him. When he was in the water, the cat took away his clothes and hid them, and then ran to the road just as the king's coach went by, calling out as loudly as he could, "Help! Help! The Marquis of Carabas will be drowned!"
Honey! I need help!
Why? What's wrong?
There are dragons in our laundry and dishwasher!
Hang on, dear. I'm getting my sword.
No, wait. These dragons cannot be killed by a sword.
They've never tasted my blade.
I know, but all we need to kill these dragons is detergent from Domestic Dominion.
Okay, then we must make haste. How do we get some?
By going to domestic-dominion.com and entering code STORY. Ladies, Our husbands are great for so many things, including slaying the run-of-the-mill dragons. But sometimes there are monsters that sneak through even the best defenses, like the toxins and chemicals in your laundry and dish detergents. And often, those supposedly clean detergents at the store are just pretty little poisoned apples. That's where Domestic Dominion can help. They're a small, family-owned and operated Christian business whose mission is to create clean, natural, quality products that aid the homemaker and create a culture of joy, health, and stewardship to the glory of God. They value the Lord and therefore value their products. All their products are effective and made with only 4 ingredients. Each product is non-toxic, pH balanced, and contains no surfactants, fragrances, or chemicals. They leave no chemical residue, and their laundry detergent is safe to use on any kind of clothing. We use their products in our home, and let me tell you, every load comes out smelling the way Cinderella's dress looks. With Domestic Dominion, you'll have a ball doing laundry. Go to their website, domestic-dominion.com, or click the link in the show notes. And use code STORY for 20% off your first order. And be sure to check out their aprons, linen covers, and anti-feminist stickers while you're there. That's domestic-dominion.com and use code STORY for 20% off your first order.
Tired of evil fairies using cold and flu season to turn you and your children into ogres every year? Yeah, me too. This cold and flu season, fortify your defenses naturally with the King's Ridge elderberry syrup and elderberry products. They grow the freshest elderberries on their Indiana farm, hand-pick and cold-press them into the tastiest syrup around. And they are packed with antioxidants and vitamins to boost your immune system. Defend the castle of your family's health. Use code STORY10 for 10% off your first order at tkrfarm.com. The King's Ridge elderberry syrup. Taste the difference. Help push back the curse. That's tkrfarm.com and use code STORY10 for 10% off your first order.
The king looked out of the carriage window, and when he saw the cat who had brought him so many fine rabbits and partridges, he ordered his bodyguards to fly at once to the rescue of the Marquis of Carabas. Then the cat came up to the carriage and told the king that while his master was bathing, some robbers had stolen all his clothes. The king immediately ordered one of his own magnificent suits of clothes to be taken to the marquis, so when the miller's son appeared before the monarch and his daughter, he looked so handsome and was so splendidly attired that the princess fell in love with him on the spot. The king was so struck with his appearance that he insisted upon his getting into the carriage to take a drive with them. The cat, delighted with the way his plans were turning out, ran on before. He reached a meadow where some peasants were making hay.
"Good people,"
said he,
"if you do not tell the king when he comes this way that the meadow you are mowing belongs to the Marquis of Carabas, you shall all be chopped up into little pieces."
When the king came by, he stopped to ask the haymakers to whom the meadow belonged.
"To the Marquis of Carabas, if it please your majesty,"
answered they, trembling, for the cat's threat had frightened them terribly. The cat, who continued to run before the carriage, now came to some reapers.
"Good people,"
said he,
"if you do not tell the king that all this calm belongs to the Marquis of Carabas, you shall all be chopped up into little pieces."
The king again stopped to ask to whom the land belonged, and the reapers, obedient to the cat's command, answered,
"To the Marquis of Carabas, please, your majesty."
And all the way the cat kept running on before the carriage, repeating the same instructions to all the laborers he came to, so that the king became very astonished at the vast possessions of the Marquis of Carabas. At last the cat arrived at a great castle, where an ogre lived who was very rich, for all the lands through which the king had been riding were a part of his estate. The cat knocked at the castle door and asked to see the ogre. The ogre received him very civilly and asked him what he wanted.
"If you please, sir,"
said the cat,
"I have heard that you have the power of changing yourself into any sort of animal you please, and I came to see if it could possibly be true."
So I have.
replied the ogre, and in a moment he turned himself into a lion. This gave the cat a great fright, and he scrambled up the curtains to the ceiling.
Indeed, sir,
He said,
I am now quite convinced of your power to turn yourself into such a huge animal as a lion. But I do not suppose you can change yourself into a small one, such as a mouse, for instance?
Indeed, I can.
cried the ogre indignantly, and in a moment the lion had vanished, while a little brown mouse frisked about the floor. In less than half a second, the cat sprang down from the curtains and pounced upon the mouse, ate him all up before the ogre had time to return to any other shape. And when the king arrived at the castle gates, there stood the cat upon the doorstep, bowing and saying,
Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas.
The Marquis helped the king and the princess to alight, and the cat led them into a great hall where a feast had been spread for the ogre. The king was so delighted with the good looks, the charming manners, and the great wealth of the Marquis of Carabas that he said the Marquis must marry his daughter. The Marquis, of course, replied that he should be only too happy, and the very next day he and the princess were married. As for the cat, he was given the title of Puss in Boots, and ever after only caught mice for his own amusement.
All right, welcome to episode 5 of the Story Cottage. Let's jump into our questions. First off, what sort of values do we see in the characters in this story?
Okay, well, this was a weird one.
Yes, it was.
The only two people I think worth talking about their values are the youngest son and, of course, the cat.
Yeah, the boy doesn't seem to value much, certainly not hard work. He complains after he gets the cat, saying he will sell the cat, buy food for a meal, and then die. I mean, that's pretty pathetic. He really only values himself, which is pride, but it's the self-pitying sort of pride.
Yeah, and then the cat is an odd one. He values himself, but he's a weird fairy-ish cat, so I don't really attribute morals to him.
Yeah.
He just wants to give his master a rich and easy life so that he himself will have a rich, easy life. And he succeeds.
Yeah, he does. All right, second question. What can you learn to apply these things in your daily life? I mean, first, fathers, just be sure to give your kids better inheritances than the father in this story did. I mean, the mill was okay, but even if you are poor as the miller and have no other skills, I mean, lean on others around you. Make sure your kids gain other useful skills as an inheritance. I mean, ideally, we want to give our kids physical, financial, spiritual, and in a sense, sort of even spousal inheritances where they know how to grow their families. They thrive in their fear and love for God. They know how to marry a good spouse and grow in their marriages and be wise with their money and just have awesome things to share with their kids and grandkids. And second, be entrepreneurial and be a good steward of whatever you have, even if it's just your life. I mean, be thankful for your life and use it for God's glory. I mean, the youngest son just crumbles into a pity party at his inheritance, when instead he should rise to the occasion and forge a life for himself. Who knows what that would have looked like, but it certainly doesn't include turning into a blubbering, crying mess.
Yeah, and now the cat, he lied a lot, and that's bad, but he also killed an ogre that was enslaving people, so do we kind of give him a pass because he's a cat?
Yeah, I mean, he's just a cat in a weird way, but yeah, I think so. I think we do.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Story Cottage.
We'll see you next time.
Toodaloo.
Thank you for joining us here at the Story Cottage. If you liked what you heard, smash that follow button and leave us a 5-star review. It tremendously helps with the algorithms so folks like you can find us. Go to thestorycottage.buzzsprout.com or click the support the show link in the show notes to subscribe for $5 a month to get every episode ad-free. And follow us on X, Instagram, or Facebook. And please, join us next time.